Welcome back now to our next conversation. The Nigeria Capital Market Community held its second Capital Market Committee meeting for the year. That was last week. Let's get a sense of what was discussed now with Mr. Oke Umano, Head Office of the Chief Economist, Securities and Exchange Commission. Great to have you on the program this morning.
Good morning, Ladi. It's good to be here again.
Yeah, great to have you. It's our second meeting this year, I believe. Quite an interesting conversations, had at the last meeting, and top on the agenda was about unclaimed dividends. The volume rose, compared to last year, and I'm wondering, why is it still rising?
The unclaimed dividend issue has become a bit naughty. We've done a lot to see that it reduces. The rise you're seeing stems from the fact that we still have a lot of shares, company shares that have not been claimed by the owners. You remember in 2008 thereabouts, we had a lot of investors who, bought shares without using the right, identification. We have opened a window for about 2 years now, asking them to come in, identify those shares and take them over and, begin to trade them and all that. But a lot of them haven't come forward. So what we've been doing now is to, educate the public, like I'm doing now. Tell people that if you have these shares, if you have these, stocks bought in names that weren't yours at the time, you can come in now, prove ownership and get them. What happens is, as long as we do not resolve this identity issue, the unclaimed dividend quantum will remain high. Because as, dividends are paid to these shares that haven't been claimed, the unclaimed dividends will continue to mount. But what we have done is to ensure that new ones do not add. When new investors come into the market now, they are well onboarded, such that the identification issue is no longer a problem.
Right, and I also, heard conversations about, some stakeholders actually encouraging, these unclaimed dividends, that they will actually be punished. And I'm wondering, how are they contributing to that?
The DG gave a warning around any stakeholder, any at all, who frustrates the payment process. We have an e-dividend payment process where if one mandates his or her account, an investor mandates his or her account, dividends are paid directly to the person's bank accounts. The process is very clear, and the SEC was just issuing warning to all the stakeholders along that line, along the process, to ensure that the process is efficient, it's fluid, there are no bottlenecks. So that was what the warning was about. Sometimes we get one complaint or so, or a few complaints here and there about people not doing their parts in the process, and that's what that warning was for. The SEC is committed to ensuring that investors get their dividends. We are not happy to have that quantum of unclaimed dividends, being recorded. So that's why we are making all the efforts we can.
And there's also been complaints about delay, in getting these payments. What's causing that?
So that's what we're talking about, the bottlenecks. Certain stakeholders have been slow in carrying out their own parts, of the process of getting accounts mandated to receive dividends electronically. And that's the warning we are giving. These things are clear. The process has been made it's supposed to be seamless. An investor identifies the companies where he or she has shares, goes to the registrar of those companies and gets a form filled, gets something to prove that the accounts he has given are his. And that's it. And the registrar, kicks off the process of getting those dividends paid. It's actually a seamless process, an easy process. And I call on Nigerians who own shares, wherever they may be, to try and get to know what registrars are in charge of those companies that they own, and get their accounts mandated so they get their monies.
Quite interesting. And there's also that issue of illegal crowdfunding platforms. That was also talked about. What's the plan to shut that down?
Okay, Ladi, we set up this crowdfunding, the crowdfunding rules to encourage MSMEs. The small and medium-scale enterprises find it difficult to raise funds. That's one of the impediments they have. The traditional exchanges require large amounts of, capital, and the requirements are way above what the SMEs can do. So we brought out the crowdfunding rules. But these rules require that crowdfunding platforms register with the Commission. Now, this is very important because one of the Commission's mandates is investor protection. If we do not know what monies are raised and how they are raised and what they are raised for, then we will not be able to protect the investors. And that's why we brought the rules and said every crowdfunding platform should register with the SEC, so that the SEC will have oversight over what is done so that investors can be protected. But what we've noticed is that a few rogue ones have continued to raise money without registration with the SEC. And that's what the SEC is saying. We are going to come after those crowdfunding platforms who are not registered and close them. And we're also warning investors, when you want to join any fundraise on a crowdfunding platform, find out if the SEC has registered that platform, because it's for your own good. That registration ensures that the SEC oversees what that crowdfunding platform is doing and ensures that you are protected as an investor.
Quite interesting. And also, I heard talk about the status of the amendment to the investment of the Securities Act for 2007. How's that looking?
It's looking good. We're working with the National Assembly. It's passed, the ISB has passed second reading at the House of Representatives. We hope that when they return from recess, the process will continue. The ISB is important to us. We are still operating on the Investment and Securities Act of 2007. That is a bit dated. There are certain things that have changed in the market. It's a dynamic capital market. A lot of things have changed. So we require certain rules, certain laws, that will help us in our work in building a vibrant capital market that will support the economic growth of Nigeria. So the new Investment and Securities Bill, which we hope will soon become an act, is to support these things. For instance, we have things there to support the commodities ecosystem we are building, to support derivatives trading, to support digital assets. So all these are dependent on that. And we will continue to work with the National Assembly on this. We're also working with NESG on this too. And we invite other stakeholders to join, because we believe that the capital market is the veritable source of financing for a lot of problems that we have as a nation. Infrastructure, for instance. It's obvious that the government really cannot finance the infrastructure gap we have from the budget. So the capital market is the only source that can, bridge that gap. And if we put everything in place, then we will be the better for it.
Right. All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Okeomano, Head, Office of Chief Economist, Securities and Exchange Commission. It was great having you on the program.
Thank you, Ladi.